Hi Homeworthy, I'm Laura. Welcome to my home in Pittsburgh. I'm so excited to show you around. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, my name's Laura Solensky. I live in Pittsburgh, PA with my husband and 2 dogs. I am an interior designer and I own Laura Solensky Design. So I live in Pittsburgh, PA with my husband Ryan and my 2 dogs, 2 black lab mixes. And I live in a Colonial that was built mid-90s, I'd say 93. My personal style is a traditional, a very collected, layered, colorful traditional. So you'll see lots of patterns, lots of colors, mix of antiques and vintage, and just a really cozy, colorful vibe. So my husband and I lived in an apartment complex about a mile away. We weren't necessarily looking. I was always looking at homes. I've always like to see what's out there. And this popped up and I loved the Colonial layout. I loved the structure and the flow of each space. It was a complete cosmetic renovation. It was a foreclosure. It was just a mess. So we had to really touch every space, but I was excited to do that. I had a lot of ideas and I really wanted to make a home and make it feel like us. My favorite space is hard. That's like picking my favorite Taylor Swift song, but I would say either our living room, which I'm in now, or my husband's office, which I kind of delusionally call our study. Welcome to the entryway. This is the first room you see when you come in naturally. This was a project we did recently. I have always loved a really nostalgic, charming entry and have dreamed about making this little space feel a bit more grand. So recently we added this water house wall covering. It's just very nice, neutral, but with some pattern. I think it is a perfect kind of segue into the other spaces that have lots of color in my home. It also has a nice warmth and historical feel. We also switched out the stair system. It was a very builder grade Colonial 2x4 wood, nothing charming about it. So I really envisioned a charming walnut and turned spindle entry with a nice wool runner. And we also, when I say we, I mean my husband, Ryan installed all of this paneling and woodworking here. The home was built in the mid-90s and was built very builder grade. So there was no woodworking, no crown, nothing to really make it charming and special. So that is something in each room I focused on. So we had some architectural detail and presence there. And I think it did a nice job of breaking up the wallpaper, but also making this space feel a little bit more grand. Other than that, it's really just a bit of decor and accessories. If you look down here, I have a Turkish 9-foot runner. So a nice little tip for you. Etsy has thousands and thousands of rugs and runners from Turkey and all over. And these vendors typically will do big sales. So for instance, this rug was a 70 or 75% off sale. I got the runner with the shipping was $111, which was really a steal for such a big statement piece. It's super durable and makes a nice little statement runner for the entry. You'll see throughout my home, I collect different vintage, antique, and even some new art. I really think art is so personal and it should speak to you. For instance, for me, I love landscapes and seascapes and ships and flowers and dogs and animals, so you'll see that throughout my home. This, and then there's 2 others over here that are all different seascapes and landscapes, and they're all vintage pieces from a local Pittsburgh store in the South Hills called Garden Style Living. And I love the medium and the subject, and I think this lemon gilt frame is really beautiful. So I love stacking different pieces of art, especially, like I said, landscapes and seascapes. I think it makes a really beautiful little vignette. Why don't we go into the living room next? Follow me in. So when you first come into the living room, I have this little vignette with a demi-lune table right off the entry, which kind of functions as an entry table as well. And I have it styled with hydrangeas from my garden. You'll see them everywhere throughout the house. It's hydrangea season and they're one of my favorites. And this piece of art here is pretty special to me. So me and my husband a couple years ago were in Connecticut and we did a day of antiquing to his dismay. No, he's a good sport, but so we were antiquing and I really wanted a piece to commemorate the trip and just the memory. And that was when I really started to appreciate and collect art. And this piece was from a local antique shop and the owner was amazing and I loved everything about it. I loved the subject of the water and the sky and the trees. Something about fluffy clouds always gets me. And then it was in this gold frame you can kind of see right here. This thicker outside frame, it was pretty serendipitous because before that, I stopped at an estate sale a couple weeks before and got this larger frame for $1. And it fit perfectly inside and really made a statement with the double frame, and I think really made this piece even more special. So this is one that's really special to me and reminds me of that trip, and it's just something when I look at, it makes me happy. And then coming into the room, again, this space was pretty much a blank slate. There was no architecture, and it's a very long room. It's on the narrow side. It's not narrow, but it's not, super wide. So playing with the dimension and then the symmetry a bit, we have 2 door openings and a symmetrical fireplace. So I really wanted to create kind of illusions of symmetry and seating spaces and just different seating nooks throughout. So one of the first changes we did, and we did this in 2020, so it was a COVID project, it was a bit of a budget project, and I wanted to make this space one we loved. So the first thing is I bought this peel and stick wallpaper, super affordable, and I did it myself, which I will never do a wallpaper project again. However, this was fairly simple to do. The corners were very tricky, but overall it can be done. And I think it added such a nice texture and kind of warmth to the space because it is so long. And then I also had Ryan add crown molding and these 6 bookshelves you'll see. So I love the idea of library shelving. I didn't want them too deep because of the space of the room. And I collect books. You'll see I have lots of different books some of them are from Amazon, but then some of them are also from different antique stores and vintage stores. You can see I just love the colors and I love to then sit there and read through and find inspiration. So I wanted to display my books and some of my art and decor from travels, and I knew the shelves would be a great idea. So this was one of Ryan's first woodworking projects, and I wanted to make it easy and budget friendly. So these units themselves, the shelving portions, are Billy bookcases from IKEA, and I bought 6 of those, and then he framed them all in to look custom and to look like library. So that saved us time, money, and it was, simpler than him doing it all from scratch. And I think he did such a great job. We added these visual comfort sconces to add to that library feel. And I just love styling these shelves and playing around with all the different decor. For art here, I have 2 different pieces. This piece is from a local vintage antique store called Foxglove Dreams in Pittsburgh. I also love that store. I loved the seascape and the colors and the beautiful gold frame. And then I had an artist I found on Instagram. I commissioned these 2 pictures. There's one here and then one on the other shelves of my 2 pups. This one's Pete, and I sent her a few photos and worked with her to get the likeness, but she did such a great job, and they make me so happy to see. Obviously, I love my pups, so any little extra pictures of them, is always a nice touch. And then this frame is just an Amazon frame. It's the made to look like those museum frames, and I think it has a nice kind of formality to it for the pairing. I have a little collection of Delft vases here. I have a shell brass bookends. I love anything nautical, as I mentioned, ships and sea and shells. I feel like my soul is meant to be near the water, and I really bring that into my home with decor and books and art. So you'll see that as well throughout. And then, as I mentioned, lots of books, some ginger jars, and really just all styled together to be colorful and show the things we love and our memories, and they make me so happy. And I love to, like I said, style them and move things around and take books off and sit and read, and I'll do that quite often. And moving in a bit more, so a little kind of fun fact, all of the chairs in here, which there are 5, are a secondhand or collected find. So starting with these 2 among the fireplace, these were from another local Pittsburgh antique shop. They did not have the cushions, so I got them for a reasonable price, and then I had the cushions made. And they, believe it or not, are actually really comfy. I liked how they were smaller, could be kind of tucked in, but also function as additional seating for when needed. And then the 2 club chairs, they were also a secondhand find. A nice tip if you like to thrift an antique. Live Auctioneer's website, they have an app for your phone as well. You can search auction houses all over. And these were in, I believe, New Jersey. You can use U-Ship, which is a company to deliver items, and I had found somebody to deliver these for me, to a pair of club chairs. When they came, they were in perfect condition other than the casters on the bottom were broken, so I did replace those. You can find affordable casters online, and that makes such a difference if you have like an old or broken caster down there. And then I did have them recovered. They were in a kind of yellowy, citron-y green fabric, and it just wasn't what I wanted. I really wanted a small print, botanical, leafy print to kind of feel older and really just jive with all the textiles in the room. And they're so comfortable, and I love them. I also have little pillows on here with the green fringe to pick it up. I think adding the little details makes such a difference when it comes to design. And at first your eye might not see them, but as you kind of explore it more, you can take everything in. And then this other chair was also a secondhand find. So I went to an estate sale in Pittsburgh a couple years ago, and it was a home that everything was so well loved and taken care of. And I had bought 4 chairs. They were all in wonderful condition, great brands. I think this is a hickory. And truthfully, the fabric was beautiful and in perfect condition, but I did want to recover it to bring in a small kind of ticking stripe so for a little more interest as well. And I think at the time, this was $25 or $30 the chair, so you can't find anything that well made for near that price, let alone even the not well made things. So definitely don't pass up antiquing and thrifting in estate sales, because you will find gems. And then kind of moving into this little corner here, because this room is so long, I really wanted to break it down and create little nooks and seating areas, because I think that's a great way to make a room still feel cozy. So I wanted a nice skirted table here. I had found the table underneath at a local antique store, and had a skirt made from my seamstress out of the Sister Parish fabric. I loved the large scale of the floral. It plays so nice with the other florals in the room, and it just is such a happy little space for some of my plants and topiaries. And I know topiaries are so, not controversial, but I'll get, how do you keep them alive? Or, they're so hard, or do you have a green thumb? And the answer is no to all these things. I do not have a green thumb. These are actually just resurrected. As you can see, they're kind of crazy. They had died, and I had brought them back. For the most part, I've found that if they are dead and not, even brown, but as long as the stem's still alive, you can regrow them. So, buy one if you love them and try it out. But honestly, they are very hard to take care of, but they are so beautiful. So I had to keep trying. And then you'll see in my house a lot, there are a lot of pleated lampshades. I love the look of a pleated lampshade. I think it adds such a nice detail and feels really cozy and just gives off like a nice glow. And the lamp with it is a visual comfort lamp, but I actually found it on eBay. Don't sleep on eBay. I found it on eBay for, I think, 70%, 80% off. Such a steal. I have the same one in my office, but it was such a good deal I couldn't pass it up. And then I had the lampshade made to go with it. And then over here, I have another little thrift find. This table was a thrift find I found this year on my birthday, and wanted another home for all my topiaries and some more books. And I love the warmth and the wood tones it adds. Again, this room is so long, and it really has a nice cozy feel to break it up into the little nooks and the different seating areas. And then on the shelves over here, you'll see more art and decor. Here's the portrait of Henley that goes with the portrait of Pete. And this painting is a piece I got from an antique store that she had brought back from France. I love the colors. I'm a sucker for anything floral, and I love the moodiness of this. I think it's really enchanting. And then there's lots of books, and I have 2 little black lab bookends over here. So everywhere you look, there's a little treasure or piece of me and things I love that, again, just make me so happy to see when I'm in this space. And then looking down, just to make a note of, so again, I know I've said it a couple times, but this room is so long that one rug really felt too short, one normal size rug. So I went with a custom cut wool and sisal rug. This is from Annie Selke. I have tons of Annie Selke rugs in my house, and I use them for projects because they're just so great. But I had this cut to the room, and it really makes it feel cozy. I love when all the furniture is on the rug, and it makes it feel like one space. And then we'll walk over to the sofa. So this sofa is a new piece. I had one of my workrooms that I use for clients. I had it made. It is a super duper performance fabric, and you can literally clean a bottle of wine. Anything you can think of, it comes out of this. And I had this beautiful Samuel & Sons trim added. I think it gives it such a nice texture and playfulness to the space. And then I have a couple pillows. Usually, I have, like I said, I have 2 dogs, so these pillows, this is, show ready. But normally, they're thrown about and the dogs are lounging. But I think, having some pillows is always a way to make it feel cozy and switch up if your sofa's a little older and you want to bring in some new patterns. And then above it, I have a set of 8 botanicals. These botanicals I also found from live auctioneers. They were just the prints themselves, and I really love the idea of a fun mat. So I bought that marbled green paper from Etsy and used sprayed adhesive to, just spray it to a mat, and framed it, myself with these wood bamboo frames. I think it looks really fun and gives it a unique touch and pulls more green into the space. And then something else that I really love to do in design in my own home and clients is layers of light. I think it's so important to have different heights and layers and functionality of light. You will rarely find a overhead light on in my home. I like it to feel cozy, so there's lots of different lamps and sconces. These 2 floor lamps are visual comfort. They are so cozy and so nice if you want to sit and read a book or just kind of curl up. They add such a nice task lighting, but it's also such a soft light as well. And then for the coffee table, so I was looking for something similar to this for this space. Needed it to be a little bit more narrow and not, a typical size because of the width of the room. I loved scallops, so I ended up just designing it, and I had Ryan make it. As you can see, I love to style it. I put tons of books on it. I always have flowers. I also collect different little boxes from trips or antique stores. And you see like a brass with shelf, some shells, and in them I will store, one of the shell ones over here has like a remote and, other little things. So it's a nice way to hide, items you don't want shown, little boxes and things like that. But I love the look of a maximalist coffee table. But don't get it twisted. My husband's feet still find their way up here. If we have guests over, I will clear it off. We will put food, we'll put games. It's such a functional tabletop. And I also have a little kind of tribute to my gram here. She always, and I'm sure most of your grandmas did as well, but she always had a candy dish and she would fill it and change it out with the seasons. And I decided I wanted to have like a little candy dish. It just feels like going to grandma's or going home, and it has a nostalgia to it. And people love it. It's my little grandma moment, but I think it's really kind of special. And if you like the look of this coffee table, keep an eye out for spring of 2025 because there is something exciting coming. I can't say too much, but something to remember. So this is a frame TV, which is nothing new. I know a lot of you have seen these on Homeworthy before, but I truly love it. We've had this for 4 years now. It is such a great TV. And I have an Alexis Walter digital download in there, as well as a, kind of amped up ornate gold frame to really make it feel more of a piece of art. And I get questions about it all the time. People really think it's, really cool, and it doesn't, necessarily look like a TV because there are no wires there. So it is a nice way to have a TV, because we are TV people, without being kind of in your face. And then I get asked about these draperies a lot. I really wanted a pretty floral pattern, multiple really in here that felt happy. And I loved this one from Sanderson. And you'll see on pillows and things, I love a good trim tassel fringe. So I added this Samuel & Son tassel fringe to add just a little bit of playfulness and color and texture. And I think it's a really pretty, fun way to enhance the window and bring in a softness to the room. So I actually went to college for business management and marketing, and had always wanted to be in a creative field such as marketing. I fell into IT project management after college and really loved project management, but knew IT wasn't the field for me. I'm a creative person. Growing up, I was always doing something creative. I was starting young, was rearranging my room and asking to wallpaper and paint and making jewelry and making clothes. So I knew I needed and wanted to be in something creative. The timing of buying our home happened to overlap with this search for what I wanted to do. And we completely renovated everything. And I fell in love with the design and decor, and just really knew at that point it was a passion. So I immersed myself in podcasts and books, and I started a social media so I could follow accounts I love. And then I started posting my own home, which kind of snowballed into some opportunities. I worked for a designer based out of Connecticut, which was amazing. And I went and did an online program for design, and ultimately knew I wanted my own firm. So in the end of 2021, I started Laura Solensky Design. So a few design tips that I think anybody really can take into their space is the power of paint. It is so impactful. You'll see a few rooms in my home that paint makes such a difference. You can also use decor. Things like plates and art can really transform a place, especially if you rent or you don't have it in your budget to wallpaper or anything. You can really kind of do phases of decor and paint to transform a space and make it feel like yours. I'd also say take your time. Everything in our home has evolved over time. You obviously start out and you have your apartment furniture and what you can afford, or your hand-me-downs, and some of those hand-me-downs, if you're lucky, are beautiful antiques. And then you can also collect. Secondhand shopping, thrifting, antiquing is such a great way to save money, to find unique quality pieces, and also have something that you can keep forever and take with you. I have a bunch of pieces, a few from family, a few that I've just collected over time, but that truly helps make your home feel like a home. And it takes time, so it's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay. I think as your budget and your patience allows, you can continue building the home you love. So welcome to the kitchen. This space was one that we did completely renovate. We had a pony wall to divide the dining room and the kitchen, and a big pantry, which we took out. So we extended the space for additional counter space and cabinetry, and we added this center island. It really is such a functional place for cooking, for entertaining. We have, guests will always sit at the bar stools here and talk as we're, cooking or interacting. I have the bar stools were I want to say overstock find, and then I had them recovered with that pretty yellow fabric to add a little bit more color and pattern. And then, as I said, we completely gutted the kitchen, so everything really is new in here. As much as I love color and pattern, I think the kitchen being more neutral and white is always such a classic look, and one that I always gravitate towards. And then I also really believe in a styled, homey feel in the kitchen. It doesn't have to be super utilitarian. Bring in a little lamp, art, books. It makes it feel more lived in. It makes it feel cozy, and a room that you want to spend more time in, just as you would a living space. I had a little faux window shade, inside mounted window shade made with a Schumacher gingham print. I think it has like a nice informal feel to everything, and really plays nice with the whites in the space. Again, you'll see lots of plates and plate walls in the house. And these 4 pieces I found antiquing in Nashville at a little thrift store. I have another topiary and then some ceramic fruit topiaries. I think they have a nice classic traditional feeling to them and make a nice styling for the kitchen. And then over here on this wall is one of my favorite things I've done decor-wise in the house. I love ships and the sea, and had started collecting these antique and vintage pieces and decided to display them together for a gallery wall. So this is something that truly is such a happy, serene point for me, because looking at the water, looking at these these images and the seascapes really is so calming and calls to me, and I love them grouped together. All of them except for the smaller oval round ones are vintage antique. The oval ones and the round ones are Mary Maguire. I love her art, especially her sea and ships prints. But they're just collected over time and different mediums, and I just love them all together. I think it's such a nice grouping of, and makes a nice collection. So this space is it's a mix and blend of formal and informal. I didn't want to go too formal because of its proximity to the kitchen. However, I love to entertain. I do a couple annual parties and dinner parties and have friends over, and I really wanted a space that felt special for that. When we have our Christmas party, we all gather in here and we'll sit and eat. I have an annual girls' little witches dinner in October where we live out our practical magic kind of dreams, and we'll do our cards and astrology, and we it's all decorated for that. So I really wanted that space that felt special. But me and Ryan also sit here every day and eat lunch or dinner, so there is that nice it doesn't feel stuffy. This table and chairs is more formal, but it was actually a secondhand find / buy from a formal client of mine. She was downsizing, and we originally were gonna work it into the plan, so we had her chairs recovered, and then ultimately she decided she wanted to start over with new furnishings. So she sold this, and I nabbed it up at a great price because she bought this for tens of thousands of dollars, and I did not. I spent a fraction of that, so it is such a special set to me. The table extends to 10 feet, and I have other chairs as well. So although it won't fit in here, I have grand plans for one day hopefully having a grand formal dining room and being able to fill the space. But we do extend it with the one leaf, and we can still fit that as well. But it adds, it's the formal piece that really the wood tones, and if you look at the bottom, there's beautiful brass cloth feet and etchings down there, and it just is such a special table and chair set that I love so much. This rug is also an Annie Selke. It's an indoor-outdoor, which is so great for eating spaces because they're super durable, super easy to clean. And as you notice in my home, I love big rugs. I think having the furniture on the rugs, all the furniture on the rugs makes such a difference. It makes the room feel large and cozy, and I love the subtle pattern of it. Back here, this buffet is a grass cloth buffet from Society Social. I love the relaxed and casual feel of the grass cloth. It's also such a nice texture compared to the wood and the shine, and it plays nice together. And then it also stores lots of china and glassware and is really functional for us. On the buffet, I have 2 rose medallion lamps. They were both ginger jars that someone previously transformed into lamps. They weren't well done, and the base was ugly, and so I bought these lucite bases from Etsy and had them rewired, and this pretty pleated shade added to make it feel a little bit nicer. And I love the glow that the shade gives off. It's so cozy, and it's so nice to eat in here. And I turned the overhead light chandelier off, and we'll eat by candles and lamps and really make it cozy. This chandelier is from Visual Comfort. I've loved this chandelier forever, and kind of took the plunge on that a couple years ago, and it's just such a nice statement, such a pretty piece, and feels kind of southern, and I love that in the dining room space. Then above the buffet I have, so this wall is so large, and while I love wallpaper and had and still do consider wallpapering this space, I also want to keep a break of wallpaper in the house, and as we can afford more, and as I decide that, I wanted to fill the space with decor. So starting with this Venetian mirror, I had found this on Live Auctioneers as well. At first I had pinned it and had planned to bid on it, got distracted, forgot, was heartbroken, and then realized it did not sell, and they relisted it a couple months later. So I was able to grab that. It was a great deal. I can't remember exactly what I paid, but I know it was pennies compared to what they go for. And I had it U-ship bring it to me as well. And then I've been collecting this Bordalo plates and platters from different collections and different sizes for quite some time, and thought what a fun way kind of to display them, to bring texture and color and a collection that I love on the wall. So hung those with some of these antique vintage gilt wall sconces to really create a nice focal point there. I'm very big into collections. I think if you love something, within reason, collect it and display it. Don't hide your collections away. It's what makes you, it's what you love, and it's an interesting conversation, piece to have. So definitely display your collections. And then just touching on the table setting a bit, it's not casual, because we don't eat like this every day, but it's more casual in terms of the beautiful table settings you normally see. But I wanted to do kind of one that showed off the table and didn't cover the wood, so I use these pretty little gingham placemats with the nice little ruffle from Mrs. Alice, and paired it with a Bordalo gold basket weave plate that I bought. This was another Connecticut find. I bought 4 of these. I think they were like $2 a plate. I couldn't believe that. And then these are Majolica. They're very old, I think like 1890s. And they're kind of rare, and they are usually pretty expensive, but I found them at one of my antique stores I love called Heartwood Corners, and it was a really good deal, and just love them so much. So there's a set of 8 of those as well, but I have 4 out for now. And then I also have my grandma's little crystal water glasses and crystal vase with the flowers as well. I have quite a few of my grandma's different vases and dishware and glassware. We were kindred spirits in that way. She loved beautiful things and a beautiful table, and when she passed, she wanted me to have them, so we use those in all the special days. And I try to use them not just on special occasions. I think life is short, and celebrate the everyday. So if it's a beautiful glass, if it's a beautiful plate, it makes eating a piece of pizza or whatever just feel more special and exciting. So I try to live by that, which is also another reason I love thrifting and antiquing, because when they are more affordable, when something breaks, you're not super upset about it. So that is something that I try to, live by and enjoy. And then over here in the corner, I have a wicker plant stand and urn from Enchanted Home. I love the texture this brings in. Typically I have it decorated. I will throw hydrangeas in here, dried hydrangeas. I'll decorate it for the holidays. And it's just such a fun place to store flowers or a fern. But I wanted to leave it open to show you the stacked pieces of art back here. I love stacked art. You see a couple of those throughout, and this is kind of an unlikely pairing. The top is a nice landscape piece that I bought from a local thrift store, antique store, and the bottom I bought at an estate sale for $5. I thought the frame was beautiful. I love the still life with the fruit, and for $5, how could you not? So again, it's an unlikely pairing, but I think it creates a nice little vignette there. And over here, drapery. So I try to mix high and low where I can, whether that's antique and vintage and it's, a thrift find or a reasonable price. or something like this. So I knew I wanted some beautiful draperies in here. Fabric, as you know, can be very expensive. This fabric was from Spoonflower, which has lots of affordable options. I was able to customize the coloring, the green, to match the green in my other patterns, and I added a little tape trim here from Samuel & Sons to make it feel a little bit more custom and elevated, but such a, an easy way to get something that you love in drapery that is not as pricey as, designer fabric. So that's a good resource as well. Now let me take you to one of my other favorite rooms, the study. So let's go over here. So I love to entertain. I love having, whether it's just my family or friends over. I do a couple annual different holiday celebrations. Christmas is one of them. I go all out. There's anywhere from 5 to 7 trees sprinkled throughout. Usually each room will have a color palette or a theme or something, and I like to change it each year. So it gives me a challenge to be creative and to try new things. So there's a tree in here, there's 2 in the dining room and the study upstairs. And then beyond that, I use garland and lights, and I really make, I like to think I make it a magical place. So with that, I, started to have a Christmas cocktail party with a bunch of friends. We dress up, we have good food, good drinks, good music, and we just enjoy the decorations. It's really fun. So Christmas is a big thing around here. I start early November because it takes a while to decorate. Usually a good couple weeks, and then I can enjoy it for a good full month into the new year before it has to come down. But I truly love that time. I think it's so cozy and magical, and I love to really make our home feel warm and just full of Christmas. So this is our study, also my husband's office and one of my favorite rooms in the house. I really have always loved the idea of a library out of an old mansion and had really dreamed up something like that for this space. Originally, I wanted to do some paneling, lacquered paneling, but because of the walls being cut off with open doorways and windows, I thought let's save a little bit on woodworking and add crown molding and lacquer everything. It just adds such a glow and warmth and shine to the room that really makes you feel enveloped, similar to what I wanted, and I love that. You can see the lamp lights and the sconce lights really glowing off the lacquered paint, and I just love how that looks. These bookshelves built-ins I designed and then had Ryan build. So he actually built these from scratch, so there was no IKEA or anything like that, and his talents have really developed over the years. I constantly tease/beg him to go into business and work with me, and I know that'll never happen because ultimately I don't think he wants me to be his boss, but he does such talented, amazing work, so I will continue to put a bookshelf wherever I can. But I love to collect old books, so they are on the shelves, a couple pieces of art to really give that library study feel. And then I designed the bottoms to be very deep and tall so that we could have additional storage for my dining room's china. So this one is my favorites cabinet. It ranges, mostly everything in here is older except for the blue plates I'll pull out in a second, but those are from Mrs. Alice. But I have glasses from my grandparents. I had always loved these gold and silver. These are low balls, and then there's wine glasses in there as well. But we would drink and use these for every holiday, and it was so special. So these were another thing she wanted me to have, and I cherish them. These little coupes were just a thrift store. They were like $1 a glass. I love the cobalt glass. I think it's such a fun color, and it makes a nice little statement. And then I also have some etching coupes and wine glasses in there of some flowers. I think they're super pretty. I had kind of collected from different antique and vintage shops. They weren't expensive. So again, if one of these were to break, it's not a big deal. The only ones I'd be sentimental about are my grandparents, but I still would rather enjoy them than not. And then in here, I have a bunch of my favorite plates. So me and my mom, we love to antique and thrift together. It's become such a joint passion of ours, and I've learned a lot from her. And she's always had such a natural decorating talent to make the house feel cozy. And one of our trips, we had found these garden plates. There's a whole set, but I'll just pull out these. And I truly loved them. They were a really great price. So she bought them for a Christmas gift a few years ago. And I think they look so beautiful in all of the seasons. They look amazing around Thanksgiving with all the fruits and foliage, and then obviously in the spring and summer. I have these citron bordalo little plates I found at an antique store. I loved the coloring here. And then I had found this set of 6 Majolica plates. I love this green. Also in my Connecticut trip, they were a really great price. It was six of them for, I think, like $50 or $60. I mean, if you know the value of these, they go for a lot, more than that at least. So that was a great find. And then the Mrs. Alice plates down here. These aren't the only like new item in here, but these are this like blue cabbage plate from Mrs. Alice, and they are great. They can go with just about anything as well. So that is kind of the plate collection. And you also can see down here I have a bunch of salt and pepper shakers. I started collecting those with my mom as well. We both have a collection. So I have a couple of the fruit topiaries. I just got these little dogs. And I have seashells. I have some silver plated ones, but I think they're really fun to switch out with a tablescape as well. So that has become a newer collection and something fun to shop with my mom. And then for furniture in here, the little love seat was made by one of my vendors as well. I needed a specific size, and I really wanted a green velvet love seat. I love this color and shine on this one. This is from Schumacher. It's a performance velvet, and it'll kind of distress over time, which is fine. I want it to feel lived in and cozy. And this is one of the dogs have free reign, but this is one of their favorite nap places. They can look out the window, and then they can sit here, watch Ryan work, or just kind of be in the center of everything. This space really, because it's a library feel in Ryan's office, I wanted to keep it somewhat more masculine and feel than some of the other spaces, but I think it's important to have a blend in every space to feel balanced. But this green, this is Farrow and Ball breakfast room green. It's one of my favorite greens. It's just such a happy tone. I don't personally love like the super deep moody colors. I just love that it has enough saturation and vibrance that it doesn't feel super dark, but it still feels like you're color drenched in this green, and I love it. So me and my mom and sister started a little tradition a couple years ago. We like to call it our back to school trip, even though none of us are going back to school, but we try to do a short 3-4 day trip at the end of August somewhere. They've been closer places, driving distance. And my sister is not an antique thrifter at all. We are very opposite, but again, me and my mom are, so we'll sneak in a day or two of that. And this was from last year. We went to St. Michael's, and this was at an antique store there. So I loved the moodiness of it and the colors. I just thought it would fit right into that library feel. And then the ottoman here, so the ottoman and the chair, they're both secondhand finds. The ottoman was a Facebook Marketplace find. It had, some of the casters were broken, which we replaced, and then the fabric on top was terrible condition. It was red, it was torn, it was stained. So I did have it recovered in this Schumacher gingham, same as the kitchen window shade. But I bought the ottoman for $25. And it gets beat up because the dogs use it as a launch pad, back and forth onto the sofa and whatnot. But the beauty of that, $25 and 1.5 yards of fabric, you really can't beat something like that. I know ottomans, if you look, can be pretty pricey. So that was a great find. And then the chair was one of the chairs I'd purchased at that estate sale. There was 4 of them. I have the 2 in my home. One went to my mom, one went to a client. But this is a very wide club chair. It was not in great condition fabric-wise, but everything else was perfect. So I had it reupholstered, and I added this relaxed ruffle skirt to it as well. I thought it gave it such a nice casual, romantic, romantic from my husband's office kind of feel, but it was a nice balance of floral to the other, the solidness of the paint and the other more plain kind of fabric. So I love this chair. The dogs love this chair. It's just so cozy. And above it, I added this oil painting of a fisherman. This was an estate sale find as well. I got it on half price day. I don't know how, for $100. And I just love everything about it. I love the yellow gold frame with the distressing of the red coming through. I love the fisherman and his kind of stature and face. It's like he could tell you a million stories. And the moody quality of it, I think it just draws you in. So I thought that created such a little nice moment and really felt that old library feeling that I wanted. And then I have this is the blue and white planter that I'll use for my Christmas tree in here. The tree will sit right here. And right now I have a little lemon tree in it. I got this lemon tree recently at a nursery locally for $9 because everything is super inexpensive because it's the end of the season. So we'll see if I will actually keep it alive and, better yet, actually produce a lemon. But I thought that was a nice little placeholder when there is no tree in here. And then on the windows, I have these woven shades. I didn't want to really block the light, but I wanted some texture and a covering for privacy if needed. So I added these. These were really inexpensive from Select Blinds, I believe. And I think they added such a nice color, texture, and kind of added to that study older feeling versus taking up space with fabric and draperies. Welcome to the primary. This is obviously our bedroom and such a relaxing space, and one that I wanted to make feel really cozy, a little bit more feminine and traditional and southern in the way that I'll repeat the pattern and I'll show you. But starting over here, I have this antique mirror I bought from an antique store locally. It's the etching of the glass with the floral is so pretty, and in the frame, I think it's a great way to have a little kind of get ready moment, but also bounce the light around in here. The nightstands are actually from Ballard Designs. I loved the texture and how the wood tone, because there is so much white and blue. I didn't want it to feel too pretty, so I wanted to kind of have some wood pieces as well. I have another visual comfort lamp with these pleated shades. The wallpaper in here and the fabric, the fabric's repeated on the bed, headboard, on the pillow, on the bed skirt, and the draperies. So the fabric and the wallpaper is from Erin Donahue Tice line. She's an artist. She made this textile line off of her art. And I just loved how it feels so calming, but also has such a nice, pretty pattern and color to it. The wallpaper has like a trellis. When you stand far away, you can kind of see the light, the way that the botanicals really shape together. And then the larger botanicals on the fabric. I had this headboard. I purchased a Wayfair headboard that was inexpensive and had it recovered. It was a way to get it faster and much less than having it custom made. And I also used a Samuel & Sons little pencil trim to kind of outline the details to give it a little bit more, detail to it as well. And like I said, I had a ruffled bed skirt made out of the same fabric. I loved the traditional romantic feel of that. The repeat of the pattern really feels traditional and cozy as well. This is an estate sale find, one of my favorites. This was from the 1800s. I got this. It was another steal, honestly. I got it on half price day, and we use it as our dresser. I love the wood. I love the shape. It's such a character piece. And then obviously we have, a not so pretty TV, but again, we're TV people, and you got to live in your home. And then on top of the dresser, I like to keep a little kind of tray of my jewelry. Some of it isn't special. Some of it's just, kind of everyday things, but all of the little bowls and jewelry boxes are vintage finds. This jewelry box was a recent estate sale find. It is broken. I want to get it fixed, but I loved the silver and the teal inside, and everything in here in this little box is vintage. So like this little bangle I'd found at a little thrift store. I don't know why, but it spoke to me. It's kind of not an everyday piece, obviously, but it's a fun piece. I love bangles. The one I have on is a vintage find, and then these are as well. And then I love little like costume vintage rings. These three are all finds that I've, different stores and estate sales. This little heart I think is so cute. But they can really make an outfit, and they're usually pretty inexpensive because not many people, are hunting for these things. And then I also have, this was my grandma's, this little shell box, and a couple little pins and brooches from my grandma as well. They're nice to style on like a purse or like a blazer or something. I know it's a little old fashioned, but I think it's kind of nostalgic and fun. And also, like I said, I love that was my grandma's. And I have some more hydrangeas here from my garden. I have probably like 15 to 20 hydrangea bushes. So it's now the time to collect and cut them. So you will see them everywhere. Over here I have this is an antique bamboo table I found at an estate sale as well. Another super inexpensive find. It is kind of beat up and broken because it is so old, but I think it's a really nice piece for plants or really just anything, an end table, and I love the tones of what it picks up. I have two little vintage bird pieces here from just a local store. I thought the character of the birds was so cute and playful, and I liked the coloring together with the space. And then you'll see here this chase I also bought at the same estate, so I bought the dresser for $25. It's a little beat up, but it is so adorable. This is some type of designer fabric. I'm not sure exactly what. And I love the pleated, box pleated skirt. This is my one dog, Henley's favorite spot to lay. At night, she'll come over here and she can also kind of look out as well. But it adds such a nice place for putting on clothes or packing or just sitting and reading as well. So it's a nice little corner by the window. So above the bed, I have this little federal mirror. I think you can see it's such a large wall, and I think there's something so charming about a small piece of art or mirror above, above the bed, and then also on a large wall. It plays with the scale, and it kind of draws your eye in, and I just love the juxtaposition of the large wall with such a small piece. But I think it's just a fun way to add a little bit of charm without going over the top. And again, because you have wallpaper doesn't mean you can't hang things. I love to still hang art and mirrors to really create the layers to make it feel cozy. And then right outside our bedroom is our upstairs hallway. I have another Etsy Turkish rug up here. Was also purchased on a sale, very inexpensive, but a nice way to add some softness and color to a space that you would overlook. So many people think a hallway, isn't important, and in some degree it isn't, but you also pass it all the time. So why not make it a little fun and add some color and personality? I continued the wallpaper, the Waterhouse wallpaper up here, and I have this little vintage botanical as well. And then at the end of the hall, I have a floor, almost to ceiling, gold mirror. This has kind of become the outfit, get ready mirror that I can check before I leave. This was a live auctioneer's purchase for $50, believe it or not. So it fits perfectly right here and is such a nice way to check before you go out the door. Let's go outside and see the patio and garden. So you're catching us on a little bit of a gloomy day and kind of end of season, so it isn't as robust color-wise as normal, but still I think pretty in one of my favorite places to be. I have lots of different topiaries and plants scattered throughout to really create a green wall and kind of garden feel up on the patio and deck. All of the furniture out here is vintage. This set was, actually both sets were from Facebook Marketplace, super inexpensive. And then these cushions I just purchased online. They are outdoor friendly. Again, we're putting them to use today a bit, but super comfortable. This stone console I also found on Facebook Marketplace. A garden store in Ohio was going out of business and we're selling everything super cheap. And so we went up there and weighed down our car with this and these 2 cement planter urns you can see right over here. So the car was dragging on the way back, but it was so worth it. And I just love the kind of European feel they bring to this space. Again, I love boxwoods and different plants. I have behind, they're all out of season, but they're my peony plants. I have a couple hydrangeas. All over here are a bunch of limelights. They're all starting to kind of dry and pink for the season because we've had such high heats and up until this point, not a lot of rain, so a lot of it dried out early. And then this trellis has 2 roses on them, which have been growing like crazy recently. And as it welcomes you kind of into the garden here. So this space was all grass when we moved in and had a bit of a flooding issue and was also just kind of boring. I wanted to create a garden feel. I love pea gravel. I love the sound of it. I love how it looks. Weird, but I always knew I wanted to have like a pea garden kind of courtyard feel. So we made this pathway with rocks and pea gravel and then created like a little seating area over here. It's so nice under this tree, and when at night we turn these overhead lights on, and it just feels so secluded and cozy here. And then throughout, I had Ryan build me a garden beds in an L shape around the house to make the structure of the garden. I have lime lights. I have my original Endless Summer hydrangeas. Again, they're all kind of done for the year, but the Endless Summer original ones are new, so they will get bigger. And then this fountain was a recent estate sale find. I got this for $50. And it's more of like a bubbler fountain, but I think it's so calming and so pretty. I love the little acorn pineapple shape on top, and it makes it such a nice little sound when you're sitting over here eating or just kind of hanging out. And then as you go on, there's more hydrangeas. This little piece, this structure arbor, I found in an antique store, and again I have grand dreams of an even bigger garden one day if we move, but I thought I wanted to still display it and kind of have the the hydrangeas kind of twirl around it to create another little structure. And there's a little bench I also got from Facebook Marketplace that matches but doesn't match exactly to the furniture, but it all has that kind of metal iron vintage look to it. And then lastly, the only other little thing, I love little statues and the cement pieces, and this little cement dog is kind of the garden protector and little guy. He was also part of the purchase at the estate sale. I got him for $10. I love little, as you know, dogs and characters, and so having them kind of sprinkled throughout I think gives such a nice little quirky presence and makes it feel more interesting to the garden. So this is my garden. This is one of my happy places. I love to come out here and cut flowers. You can see I've already cut a bunch and they're inside, but there's still a bunch left. And it truly is a happy place for me and a place I spend a lot of time. Home to me is warmth, happiness, love, safety. It's truly my happy place. I love to travel, I love to go out, but coming home is just such a happy feeling. It has so many wonderful memories here. I know, my pups are waiting for me. My favorite things are on display. It's colorful, it's happy, and it's just a place I love to be. I think that should be, no matter what your style is, your home should be your happy place. And however happy it translates to you, that's how you should make your home feel.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.